Hello everyone, I'm Silverraptor and welcome to another Wargame Red Dragon replay commentary video. So today I am playing on Asgard and I will actually be playing my Soviet Airborne deck for this run, and as you can see I have my troops ready to go on this start, and you also may have noticed it's not actually a whole lot of stuff, but that's because the rest of it is devoted in planes, which we will start off pretty much right now. So as we start, I'll just tell you a little bit about the game. It's basically another 10v10 on Asgard, pretty much same old, same old. I'm just in with a bunch of randoms, and we're just basically off to have a good time. So basically, just sit back and relax and enjoy the explosions that come with it. So I've got some Conkers and some Strela 10Ms and a command vehicle meant for Juliana, is I guess what you pronounce that, and a few of these BM-21 Grads, which is basically rocket artillery trucks. And I'm just starting off with a bit of a supporting role. I'm taking an Su-27S to guard the middle, while here on the right, there's some bombers here that try to go and stop Islanders' troops come forward. But as you can see, this is my entire points invested into a huge air force to shoot down the enemy at the start. But we're going to have to back off because the enemy also has a huge air force at the start. So far, South Korean planes, not a whole lot, but air superiority fighters versus air superiority fighters, which is about to happen. It's a little bit of a toss-up. It depends upon who has the angle in terms of engagement, and right now, Cat Rule had the advantage because they were able to fire their first shots when those planes had turned around. Now it's getting up close, and the MiG-29 seem to have shot down a fair number of planes, but they lost one. Corrent sends a few of his Su-27 PUs, but they managed to get flanked down from behind, and I think he lost a couple. In the meanwhile, Corrent's doing a nice sort of flank attack here on the left, but the anti-air of the enemy coming straight down this road, and we're just trying to hurry up as fast as we can to... My allies trying to hurry up and secure these buildings right here in order to be able to guard against the massive infantry forces. These are all transport trucks, but the BTR-90s are also ripping them apart pretty good as well, and my big 25 BM managed to take out a few radar AA as I managed to secure this entire area from any kind of approach with Strela 10Ms and Conkers. The BM-25BM makes another pass and destroys another couple of radar AA, but the enemy is still going to try to push forward with all their infantry, and this is going to turn into one massive fight here in the center. So, seeing that they managed to get far enough, my rocket trucks here are locking on and getting ready to target it, as Corvette sends another MiG-25BM with radar AA to take out more Flak Panthers. And the enemy is continuing to push forward with Livgarden, basically Denmark troops. And this is not so much a good advantage for them because they are actually caught right in the crossfire between many different kinds of infantry in a nice concave, but they do have control over Gregory here and instantly respond with some reinforcements. It looks like, well, I can't really tell what those are, but my rocket artillery is now beginning to come in. That's a perfect time to just stun up and weaken any kind of troops that are remaining left, as the rest of the allies in the center are pushing their forces forward, and they're going to go try to hold off the enemy here in the center at the moment. Now on the right, made some pretty good gains. Gong Byongs are moved forward into this forest line, as well as some regular APC and infantry tried to push up against this mountain here over onto Michael. Over on the right, we've got Islander, or Iskander is pushing forward with T-64s and T-62Ms, but the enemy does have a nice front line of tanks, and he's probably going to have to push that back because he's not going to do a whole lot, though he did take out a Challenger marksman, and they are going to try to flank around on the right with Spetsnaz, but if they're going to, a lot of vehicles tend to come out of this spawn area, so they'll need some kind of anti-tank in order to secure that area properly. Over on the left, a defensive line is established so that the forces of Dmitry don't try to push into Roman. Killer Karl Cook is managed to make some infiltration headway into Boris, but so far that is stalled. And Paul is not captured at all, though Redriver Tango is bringing forward a CV over onto Paul. In the center, my SC-27Ss are trying to shoot down a seed plane, which does happen to annoyingly get away. And one of my planes still gets shot down. That is unfortunate. So, but he does have some missiles left, so I'm going to try to turn and take out this Dragonfly if I possibly can. Successfully do. And now, since I know that there's AA there at the moment, I'm going to probably evac that SC-27S. Yes, I do. So the enemy did manage to get in here, even with the massive amount of infantry forces they had. It turns out, like, the bombing run and the endless number of troops that the reinforcements that they keep bringing in is starting to push back my allies' forces here in the center. I bring forward an SC-24M because all those enemy infantry and vehicles are guarded up so much. I popped a flare, basically telling them where I'm going to be dropping this bomb horde. And look at the points fly. Isn't that beautiful? So, I'm pretty sure I killed a lot of Albert stuff because he just ditched and left the game. The enemy is now counterattacking with rocket artillery of their own. So this is kind of typical of the center. It just turns into a massive amount of artillery war with a lot of infantry thrown in the middle. A MiG-31M managed to shoot down a 160-point plane there. I mean, that is an interceptor. It's actually pretty fast, with actually 1,100 kilometers as a plane. So it's actually pretty good interceptor where you can just spawn in and just take out whatever comes. T-72 Wilkes are pushing forward, and it looks like there's some tanks here. Those T-72s are not doing a whole lot of damage, so it looks like they took out one. I would retreat this, especially with Striker missiles coming in, though they did miss, fortunately. 4 M1A1 Abrams. These two tanks are no match for that, and looks like Cat Rule has realized it, and he is going to be backing off. And there's also Leopard 1A5 and more M1A1 Abrams. So there's a lot of tanks here. So cluster munition or lots of anti-tank helicopters will do well in that region. In the center, the enemy is now starting to actually push out from Gregory to Titania, basically trying to circumvent this front line that we've established here in Ivan, and only with these 4 Modestroki left and ready to go. I start bringing in some more support artillery, and this is kind of what I established my Soviet Airborne deck to do. Is just basically a general support deck that without being the support deck. Yeah, artillery, bombers, helicopters. I'm basically trying to kill what can kill my enemies. I can kill what can kill my allies, not my enemies. I want my enemies dead, and try to basically allow them to push forward and be the front line that they were meant to be, because Soviet Airborne don't really have a lot of frontline troops. I also bring forward the BFD-3s. These are kind of a frontline troop, but mainly I bring them in because of their Conquer Zems are very valuable in taking out tanks, and their autocannons will be able to rip apart infantry. But they're mainly to try to go and secure this flank area here on the left. As you can see, that they have some TOW-2 trucks and some ITOW trucks try to stop any vehicles coming across this area at the moment. So far, more and more troops are pushing forward into a collapsing movement here in Ivan as my notice begin opening up right here on these TOW-2 trucks. One direct hit on a truck and it just goes down instantly, with the second one following shortly right behind. And I quickly move my notice because being a 10v10, someone is probably going to see that fire. So my allies, Stark has put in some Modestroki in the front. They're not going to hold off long because there's as you can see, a whole lot of infantry. The enemy just keeps pouring infantry into this region. He brings swords of Norovs to try to soak up the enemy fire, and just with their massive fire rate of 12 rounds per minute, just try to do as much fire as they can. Unfortunately, they got into range of the anti-tank missiles. So my allies are definitely up against a real severe crunch here. On the right, there's a lot of flares popped as it looks like my allies are starting to begin to push through, though they have been pushed back due to the fact that artillery is now raining down on top of them. And on the left, an M1 Abrams managed to decapture this Paul, basically cutting off the reinforcements here and thus allowing the enemy on the left to try to push forward. Fortunately, we have a UAZ here to decap it, so it prevents the enemy from bringing in reinforcements directly behind their line, but that's going to be difficult altogether. I think one of my planes went down, but he did certainly shoot something down as well. They put some tanks here, Nanion Shiki E's with some pretty good fire rate, pretty good cheap tank, as well as some Nanion Shiki G's to be able to soak up any infantry engagements. But my allies seem to have absorbed this initial push from the enemy pretty well, as they're able to basically push the infantry back. But now these tanks are what's going to be causing the majority of the problems. But Stark is fought ahead, and he's bringing forward an Mi-24 VP in order to hit some nice flanking shots against these tanks and just basically start wiping them out. They bring forward some Cobras, AH-1T and AH-1Js, but I have already started bringing in some anti-air in terms of Skrizettes and Igla missiles, and shoot down those helicopters pretty shortly, and I'm able to establish an air defense umbrella here in the center. Unfortunately, a lot of my BMD-3s look like they've been taken out, but I did get a lot of my BDP out, and one BMD-3 to probably put on this forest and secure this whole ridgeline here as well. As the enemy seems to push more and more of their troops into the center below, in the middle, some Bells are pushing forward. Some Bell CV, what are you doing, Mr. Expensive Please Shoot Me vehicle? This is a little bit of an enticement. I conquered them, obviously, or Strela M1M killed something there, as the enemy is now pushing with a lot of heavy tanks here in the center, trying to flank us. So my conquer them are going to have to do their job. The moment these M1A1s get into range, they're definitely going to have to try to hold them back. Rocket artillery is coming down on top of the enemy infantry forces, basically panic them up. As I bring in another SU-24M, he does get taken out, but the massive bomb does kill a huge portion of the infantry that they were bringing in as reinforcement. Another vehicle goes down. I think that was MiG-29M. Another one comes forward. He does manage to get out as his bombs kind of land on target, but these M1A1s do manage to survive. My Conquer Them are now beginning to open up, with Koretz Akula also joining the fray against these super heavy duty tanks, and this is what the helicopters are for, in order to be able to basically take out these scary ass things right here. The infantry aren't doing a good job against this much amount of armor. Holy crap, look at all of them. And the automatic is even going to take out the Akula. Now, knowing the automatic is here, I have also brought up some Mi-28 as well as the Ka-52 to try to keep the automatic back at bay. Ka-52 does manage to launch a first seed miss. Automatic begins firing one shot but misses before he goes down, and the Mi-28s with their nice 25 AP anti-tank missiles are just beginning to clean up all these Abrams and APCs, which are still loaded with infantry in them. That's not good for them. Kahu's coming after the T-72Bs, but my Strela 10Fs do manage to take it out. And as you can see, I'm doing a really good job just supporting. With all the enemies focused on the infantry here in the center, I am just slowly but surely taking out whatever troops are still available that are trying to basically kill my allies. So this is pretty good establishment of, I guess I would say, supporting, without being a support deck. Support deck, a lot of people like to spam a lot of artillery and everything. Now over here on the left, some JDF Rangers are engaging some BDP-90s, while my BMD-3 is also providing supporting fire against it. Basically, I'm just telling the enemy to keeping them away from pushing forward into Titania as I move some notice into position to be able to push, to start mortaring back here. So now that a lot of rockets have been fired by my Mi-28 helicopter force, they need to go be sent back to rearm, especially since a lot of it has been, the enemy force has been taken out, and I didn't want them to get too close to those Super Cobras with their scary infrared missile. But Super Cobras, given that they can counteract my helicopters, I needed them dead. So this is where I'm starting to move out my Strela 10Ms, because they're staying just out of range of these Strela 10Ms to be able to engage, and I need them to get closer. So my hope is that I can get a nice clean line of sight, and these things can fire on the move, and I'm just trying to get as many of these fire forget rockets out as possible, missiles out. A lot of TOW 2s did concentrate their fire and took out one Strela 10M, but the other two Strelas are managing to beautifully flank and take out a couple of Apaches. Can they get to range and take out these Super Cobras? These annoying Super Cobras, which can shoot down any of my helicopters that come forward. He took out one of my Strela 10Ms, but my ally Corvette also brings forward the Tunguska and manages to shoot out a bunch of Super Cobras out of the sky. And my Strela 10M is just going to move forward to this forest and basically shoot down any more helicopters that might show up. In the meanwhile, the enemy is beginning to push quite hard into the center. It was just one VDV just holding out as best as he can before finally succumbing, and we realized we were actually quite weak here in the center. I got some BTR-70 Zeros are coming in for reinforcement as I start bringing in some of my own infantry to help assist in the front line, some VDV, and some regular BTR-Ds. Now over here on the right, my allies are still trying to push forward into Nicholas, and the enemy has managed to hold them off surprisingly well. Leopard 1A5 is definitely nothing to sneeze at, but if they get side-shotted by an Mi-28, that would present to be a problem. Eurofighter Typhoon's coming after probably this Mi-28, but this is such a bait. If they get too close to that Tunguska, he is going to definitely be taken out, and the Tunguska begins opening up with his guns, and two expensive planes taken out. Definitely worthwhile, I would think. BTRDs are going up into the center here, as my ally is sending all of his transport helicopters to just take out these Yubby-Youngs, as I'm beginning to clean up with these Mi-4 AVs. Now, Mi-4 AVs, not the best helicopter, but they do have a lot of rocket pods, and they're kind of fun to spam, so that's what I bring forward to just clean up these militia over here. F1s are dropping bombs, probably pretty much on target. Yes, do manage to take out the BTRDs, but the VDVs survive kind of intact. And these BTRDs do survive entirely, with the bombing run actually missing. So I do actually manage to get all my infantry into this town area to basically stop the enemy from trying to do that flank again. I have Mi-4 AVs also guarding this region, backed up by some Nonas, in order to try to keep the enemy forces from pushing forward, which is what they undoubtedly want to try to do. Sorry about that. My allies here on the left have done a really good job. They killed that CV Abrams and have managed to start pushing the enemy back towards the more respectable front line, so that they've definitely done a good job over here on the left, securing our flank. On the right, the allies are still trying to push forward. Mi-24B, they're trying to flank over here on the left, but this is kind of a bad idea, and that's because all the AA now begins opening up the moment they crest that ridge, and then they have a nice falling trip all the way down to the side of the mountain. So they're going to take like 2 minutes before they will land onto the ground. That's pretty spectacular, as a longbow is going to basically be able to shake off all of these tanks, no problem. He's going to bring a Tunguska M forward to try to take out this longbow, and if he can get a nice good shot on it, yes, but with the longbow with his fire and forget missiles can generally take out a lot of the AA that can take it out as well, especially if it sees it first with its exceptional optics. But the enemy is still trying to push us out of the center. They have amassed another huge force. A short arrow is opening up against these Mi-4 AVs. I don't really care about these helicopters too much because how cheap they are, and the enemy did fire a lot of their infrared missiles, so that definitely will work out for us a little bit later. I'm bringing forward some Mi-24Bs, which is some anti-aircraft helicopters. Short arrows is opening up. Unfortunately, they still have plenty of missiles still left. One more missile fires against my Mi-24B. One hits. Another missile fires, and it takes out my second Mi-24B. And he fires what seems to be his last shot. So now, this last Mi-24B, which has managed to survive all of that, is trying to shoot this ninja, and finally succeeds in doing so, while the short arrow is quickly trying to rearm from a supply truck that's close by. And my Mi-24B says F that, and is decided to take off. So I also bring forward my Mi-4V to this cargo truck to also rearm with his Malyuka missiles. Not the best anti-tank missiles, but still something along the way. I'm firing my Nodas into the crowd. Looks like I'm trying to aim for this short arrow. So far, they haven't been directly on target, but they are starting to weaken and damage him up. He's definitely panicked. And they've basically been hitting this cliffside. That's unfortunate that it's not dead. MiG-31 takes out aircraft before getting shot down himself. My Su-27S and PU managed to also assist in that glorious aircraft kill. The enemy is beginning to push forward some UDT SEALs, but it looks like Corrent already established a secondary line of defense with my initial attempt to try to slow them down. With BMPTs and BTR-80As, these infantry are definitely not going to be holding off much long, especially with the GRU spotting their position and taking them out with the Dragunov one sniper bullet at a time. So we can still see, with the Spetsnaz crew that Corrent also has back here, we're able to see a lot of the enemy forces that they are amassing. Stark is pushing forward with his VDV-90, while my regular VDV are holding off here on the right. And why is it that I have VDV, regular VDV-90? It's because the VDV and the VDV-90 generally have the same kind of gun in terms of accuracy, fire rate, and everything. The difference is just mainly their their RPG, with the VDV-90 still having a pretty decent RPG in my book, compared to the VDV-90, which is, yeah, has a pretty damn powerful RPG, but not a lot of tanks usually don't get that close to buildings. A lot of people know better at this point, and VDV are 5 points cheaper, so I still want shock troops to engage infantry that still do better, slightly cheaper. So now I bring forward my Mi-28 again to basically provide the flanking shots on all of these LVTP grenade launcher trucks. Fortunately, my Mi-28 is taking them out one LVTP at a time, and the Marines are being forced out of their center here, out of their vehicles here in the center. Over on the left, my Nonas are still opening up with their mortars. They're aiming for these short arrows, and are pretty much scoring right on target where those short arrows are. Now, a lot of these LVTPs have been taken out. I spotted Roland 3, and my K-52 has fired his 2 anti-air raider shots. So he is basically bugging out. So this is basically my kill helicopter push right here. I have K-52 to take out any radar AA that might try to take out the helicopters, and I just have the rest just kill everything else. It's a pretty brutal combination, especially with all these infantry on the ground to basically distract the enemy. Now, Stark moves us some Mi-8Ts. Unfortunately, with just rocket pods, they aren't actually really to fire their rockets that close range. And when they crash into that building, they actually kill some infantry. So that's unfortunate. As well as another rocket barrage coming forward from the enemy as well. Corrent decides to be a little more bold with his GRUs and is trying to push them into this building structure here, and basically take out any kind of vehicles that come down the road. I misspeak a lot, excuse me. And then, yeah, in the center, we're still holding it pretty well. Mochutin, Moskaya Pekota, even Bach Regiment, definitely going to be more than a match for these panicked U.S. Marines 90s, who are definitely pretty badly wounded due to the fact that my Mi-28 killed a lot of their transport trucks while they were still in it. I moved the VDP-90 forward to try to help out. Only one of them managed to make it, and I don't think he would be long, but he is definitely another at least distraction, and he's able to take out these APCs here in the middle as well. Over on the right, still pressuring the enemy forces, trying to guess where their CP is, to try to finally crack through with all these tanks. It's definitely going to be very hard. We've got a number of 2-man sniper squads trying to spot for all the enemy, and they do have quite a bit of a solitary fortress set up right here into the right side. Over on the left side, we are actually beginning to push back into center, doing a nice counterattack. T-72B1s, artillery that's landing where nothing is there. Excellent, that is perfect. Tunguska firing at a prowler. The day is pretty much the same old, and my allies are definitely getting the upper hand. JDF Rangers try to sneak past BMF, but unfortunately, now that they've been caught out in the open, BTR-70s are going to go and take them out. As my VDV, regular VDV did get taken out, I managed to move my other 3-man squad into this building, but unfortunately, they are pretty damage, and some Delta Force are hitting the front line. These will rip apart a lot of infantry with their 533 rounds per minute and their close quarters M60 machine gun. And these Buck Regiment are going to stand no chance against 4 forces of Delta Force, but they are doing pretty good at taking out like a number of Delta Force here and there. My BM-21 grads are beginning to rocket artillery this right off the bat, and the reason why is they're going to soften them up because this is what I've been doing in the meantime with all of these cheap helicopters. So this is going to be kind of a recon by fire, and let the music begin. Da 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 da. Missiles firing. I mean, quantity is a good force is a quality of its own, as Stalin has said. As you can see, they are definitely just killing whatever is around. Ooh, they even took out a CV there. And there's another CV, their rockets and everything are simply also stunning up and panicking all the forces. Yes, I am losing all of them, but they weren't supposed to really be alive at the end of this anyway. This is just because I was bored and I would like to have fun, and we are massively winning anyway. So why can't I just do something stupid, right? Also, this cleared up the sky a bit for my MI8s, my allies to MI8s to also come in with rocket pods of their own and clean up what my MI4Vs didn't initially. Well, now everything's panicked, damaged, and above all, stopped in their tracks, allowing my allies to basically shore up and defend. So even though that I did lose a lot of MI4 AVs from that push, it did do its job, which was it was supposed to do, and it was a lot of fun doing it. So it looks like my allies have finally decided that Nicholas is a one tough nut to crack, and their nutcracker is in the shop for repairs, so they're sitting back and waiting for it to be rebuilt. My helicopters have re-landed. My good helicopters have re-landed at this Mi-26 to rearm, refuel, and get ready to go back in there. As I bring forward the Ka-52s to try to clear up the AA, because given how quickly my helicopters died, I know there's radar AA in the region, and gosh darn it, I want to kill it. So one automatic is down. Do I pressure forward? I do bring forward some BTRDs with some VDVs to also shore up this front line, because the enemy is starting to push dangerously close towards our, towards Uliana, not Juliana, Uliana, which is our command, point, and we don't want them to take that out. My Ka-52 does manage to get taken out by some kind of AA. My Ka-52 is trying to come forward to see what exactly shot them, but, unfortunately does not see, tries to get back out and escape, but unfortunately does get shot down by another AA missile. So unfortunately I lost 2 Ka-52s there. Not the best outcome, but we are still holding off the enemy. My Conquerors managed to take out the Leopard 2A1, who came just a little too close to these T-62Ds and right into sight. VDVs are starting to push forward nice on up, basically try to take over where these Moskaya Picotas will have failed. Corinne probably should have moved Makotis back and moved his competency forward, but now these VDV will be able to provide firing support for this competency should the enemy tries to push forward yet again. So far, still stagnant here on the left. The enemy managed to shore up the defense line and stalled the push there. Over on the right, this is just static, nothing going on. This is still a defensible mess with just artillery coming down on them. So basically it's just still here in the center is all that is remaining, and there were some red eyes there. Interesting choice of AA, given it's pretty inaccurate. I bring in a MiG-29M with his cluster munition. I do expect with all the AA that he's probably going down. Yes, it did, but those missiles are landing right on top of these Leopard 2A4s. And they only bring them down to half health. That's a big disappointment. Alright, so Kokilian needs to try to take out those Leopard 2A4s. My VDV are now in the front line, ready to try to basically soak up for these damaged Mochutin. So that these Mochutin have more of a chance to just try to shoot and kill the enemy, while the VDVs basically, like I said, soak up most of the initial front lines. I bring in the Nakula because it's time to kill some tanks. As you can see, my Mi-28s are starting to move forward here onto the left, as the enemy is doing another armor push forward with some recon tanks, cheap recon tanks, trying to soak up in the initial push. And they are forced back and dead. The 2A4s are retreating, and I do know that there is some AA still here and some red eye, so let's go and pull back the helicopters just fine. Now the enemy is starting to send some HMVs, which probably has some JDF Rangers or some other kinds of forces there. Akula is engaging some AH-1T helicopters with its Igla infrared missiles, as well as firing its Vickers missiles simultaneously at these vehicles. Such a good helicopter. And he's also taking out some infantry in those vehicles as well. That's an excellent job. And here comes another massive infantry battle. VDV-90 up front against militia. The militia are not going to survive. VDVs are also going forward and taking out these APC vehicles with their RPGs, so they are taking their sweet time to reload those RPG-16Ds. Those Hachi Kiyoshikis are definitely going to be a scary force, especially partnered with the Rensu 106mm, but VDVs are definitely going to take those out. More helicopters are trying to come in from the flank, but with Strela 10M, that's definitely going to... well, a couple of them die. The Strela 10M does go down. That is pretty unfortunate. And my helicopters go back for a refill. There is a flare here at the enemy spot where the CV is. And with an incoming, something is coming in over there. Oh, probably these Nonya strikes. Well, watch these Nonyas. Well, these are mortar shells land right on target and take this out and allow my allies to finally push forward. And here they come. Well, they're landing in the general area. Nothing seems to be dying. Unfortunate. So the VDV are still trying to hold off as best they can. They are fairly partially outnumbered. My allies have fallen back. I need to start pulling back with the VDV. But regular artillery forces, shells are indeed coming in and trying to basically keep the infantry from pursuing, as my 4-man squad of VDV try to hold off, as this one last man VDV tries to hold them off as best he can in distraction. Meanwhile, Commandos of Vok Regiment come forward to just screen the retreat of my VDV as I start running them back for resupply, as I also put some Strela 10Ms to guard force with these any kind of helicopters that try to come forward. Artillery shells are also still coming in on top of where the infantry are, unfortunately landing on top of these Commandosi, which is not good if we want to try to keep as many of our forces alive as possible. Assault Pioneers, those guys have napalm, so they need to be taken out before they get into a building. And there is a K1A1 right here, but he's on 1 health. T-64BM has him in the sight, manages to take him out. Beautifully, beautifully done. A massive rocket artillery strike is landing in, but a lot of these are indeed vehicles with some armor, so they are probably going to survive pretty well against that those rocket launcher. A Spag is coming forward with its radar A, managed to shoot down just a plain old helicopter there. Vok Regiment is definitely going to be pushing back these UDT SEALs, but bumps into nearly full strength Habyong 90s. The only good news for him is that they were all panicked, so those Vok Regiment did actually die immediately. Warrior 90s come forward, bringing more infantry wisdom, as Marshall is bringing orders of TO-55s to be taken out for the slaughter. I try to retreat back BTRDs, but those aren't doing too well. As Stark is bringing forward some T-64BMs to engage those Warrior 90s, and is actually doing a pretty good job. With those Cobra missiles and some regular shells finally just firing in. Fast moving down the road without a care in the world. Definitely pretty well done. And the infantry managed to get into the building, and the T-64BM now needs to start reversing back, because those infantry can teleport across buildings pretty darn fast. If he wants to keep them alive, of course. So now they're bringing in artillery on top of where my vehicles are supposed to be, but that does manage to basically, the plane got baited into some Tunguskas of my ally. I think he was trying to go for the Mi-26 here, who was repairing everything, including these VDV once these VDV get into the forest. Are you guys still panicked? They are still panicked from running. The Warrior 90 still definitely putting up one hell of a fight, as well as providing some Fusilier 90s. I think those tanks were taken out, which is unfortunate. We definitely needed those heavy-duty tanks. Bo Shang-Su and Mo Chuten are trying to hold off the Fusilier 90s and the Warrior 90s. The enemy is doing another massive spam of troops into the center, and our only hope to be able to counter this kind of mass with a bunch of massive troops of our own. As my Mi-28s again come forward, with the Ka-52 clearing up all radar AA, which has got to be mindful of that Black Panther A1 as the missiles just start coming in. And so 55, they're doing some good use, just napalming this area, just keeping the Fusilier 90s back and far away as the T-55 Meridians are coming forward, also to back up the infantry. Mi-28s are, side-shotting the Leopard 284s. Definitely have the sights on them and taking them out. This is some juicy points target. I had to take a break and take out a Milan Warrior. And that last Leopard seemed to have gotten away. There is the Black Panther, and my helicopters are deciding enough of that. Let's go and refuel. This Mi-26 is out, but this Mi-26 is going to refuel these rockets because I have a feeling we're going to need them quite soon. I bring forward some more BTRDs. The VDVs are trying to repair up with this Mi-26. They're doing a good job there. And we're basically still trying to hold off this enemy as it's just wave after wave. Just a lot of troops just keep pouring into this town. And the rocket rain is not helping any time. Hello, what have we here? So, the enemy is throwing a lot of stuff at us in this flank, which we are least expecting. But, at the same time, I happen to be bringing out some BMD-3s. And these guys have conquered them, really good missiles carrying some VDVs as well as some Mi-4 AVs to just basically soak up the damage here. Yes, I know there's a lot of Black Panthers, but like I said, I don't really care about these helicopters. They're old, they're cannon fodder, and they're basically just taking up all the fire, and all this rocket is just panicking and stunning up a lot of these troops as they start to crest this ridge into the BMD-3s that they have available. And the VDV with their RPGs are beginning to open up as well. And a lot of the Black Panthers are definitely also being weakened up. Roland 3s are being taken out by these helicopters. And this is now just turned into a nice kill zone because I was bringing in these VDV anyway to probably just reinforce the center here, and they just happened to run right into them. So, unfortunate for them, pretty great for us, as that just gave us a huge amount of points in order to try to secure up this win. Rockets are coming forward and landing on top. As you can see, everything's stunned here. This town is so much of a rubble. I don't think this resembles a town anymore. More like an ancient ruin for some archaeologists to uncover. BMD-3s have now gotten up onto this top ridge, which is what I wanted, for their Conqueror M missiles to start shooting any vehicles that come forward, and their autocannons to start also shooting at the infantry. The VDV, which have came up to try to defend the enemy, are now going to have to walk all the way into this town area and just shoot at anything that tries to shoot at them back. The enemy's trying to throw everything they've got into the center. They kind of have gotten frustrated enough to the point. As we bring forward AA, here comes my Skrizettes with their Iglas to try to shoot down these forces, and this is just basically the last crunch as the two forces just kind of mush together and see who comes out on top, but it's probably going to be us because we have defenders advantage, and plus we have massive reinforcements coming forward as well. Skrizettes have gotten into position, everything seems to be falling pretty quick. Cobra's coming in piecemeal, 1-1, that's fantastic for us. And my DDV are now beginning the counterattack, as there doesn't seem to be a whole lot left. Artillery comes down on us, so that's annoying. How did the other fronts do? Hey! My allies managed to capture Nicholas. Excellent, well done. Over here on the left, this is holding. Beautiful. And we are pushing back, so yeah, we did a pretty good job in this fight. With my kind of supporting role and having the infantry reserved at the end to just shore up the defense here, I'm pretty sure everyone was running low on units. Speaking of units, here comes the Cobras yet again. But with all these Skrizettes and Igla missiles, these Cobras are all going to be picked apart quite fast. BMD-3s are now targeting these Warrior Medans here on the right. as these T-55s are trying to hold off the enemy as well. Death and destruction everywhere. What more could you ask from a really good war game? Cobra, they're actually doing some pretty good fight against the VDV, but they've now flown right over the Skrithets, and now it's time to shoot them out of the sky. And that's the game. So that was excellently done. Minor victory, but I'll take it. Being in a supporting role and having your troops in less of the front line, as you can see, I got a pretty good KDR. So, not badly done. MiG-25 killed some radar troops. Su-24M, beautiful bombing strike. So yeah, here comes the full kill list of everything. Mi-28s are the real heroes of this, but then again, they kept going back and forth to rearm, so they have a lot of things that they can kill. VDV, Mi-4 AVs. Basically, I had a lot of fun with this game. As you can see, a lot of stuff killed a lot of other stuff in the center. So, thank you all so much for watching this Wargame Red Dragon replay commentary video of 10v10 on Asgard. If you did like this, please do like, comment, and subscribe down below. And I shall upload more Wargame content for you in the future. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next episode. Thank you, and goodbye.